Welcome back to our channel, your premier destination for the most comprehensive and thoughtful analysis of the intricate lives, enduring romances, and gripping dramas unfolding daily at Beyond the Gates. Today is a beautiful, bright day to delve into the emotional complexities younger generation as they navigate the turbulent waters of impending adulthood. The transition from adolescence to young adulthood is universally recognized as one of the most tumultuous periods in any person's life. And for the residents, this phase is magnified by the intense emotional stakes that define their world. Currently, viewers are witnessing a profoundly moving and highly relatable storyline centered on Jessica and Tyrell. These two young lovers find themselves standing at a monumental crossroads, facing decisions that will not only shape their individual futures, but also determine the ultimate fate of their relationship. The innocence of their high school romance is rapidly fading in the rearview mirror, replaced by the daunting, heavy realities of college applications, career aspirations, and the terrifying prospect of geographical separation. As they stand on the precipice of their adult lives, the pressure mounting on their romance has reached a critical, almost suffocating boiling point. At the very heart of this escalating tension is Jessica's complex academic dilemma. She is a young woman of immense potential, driven by ambition and a desire to carve out a distinct identity for herself. For a long time, Jessica has heavily considered the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, as her primary destination. UCLA represents more than just a prestigious academic institution. It symbolizes the allure of the West Coast, the promise of reinvention, and a definitive break from the familiar confines of her current life. However, complicating matters significantly is her recent decision to also apply to Banneker. Banneker carries its own unique prestige, legacy, and set of opportunities that strongly appeal to a different side of Jessica's aspirations. This dual application process is not merely a logistical backup plan. It represents a profound internal conflict. She is torn between two very different visions of her future, and this uncertainty is radiating outward, deeply affecting those closest to her. In stark contrast, Tyrell is operating on a completely different wavelength regarding his future trajectory. He has his own distinct direction, a carefully considered path that does not necessarily align with either of Jessica's potential collegiate choices. Tyrell is fiercely independent and possesses his own set of dreams and ambitions that he is determined to pursue. The stark reality that their respective paths are diverging has introduced an unprecedented level of strain into their relationship. The love they share is undeniable, but love alone is rarely sufficient to bridge the widening gap created by conflicting life goals. The unspoken fear of growing apart, of becoming strangers who simply share a nostalgic past, hangs heavy over every interaction they have, transforming what used to be a source of comfort into a source of profound anxiety. Enter Samantha, who steps into this delicate situation with her characteristic blend of fierce loyalty and unflinching pragmatism. Samantha has firmly positioned herself in Jessica's corner, offering unwavering support during this overwhelming time. However, Samantha is far too wise and experienced to simply coddle the young woman. She recognizes that blind validation would do Jessica a tremendous disservice in the long run. Instead, Samantha demands that Jessica approach this critical juncture with absolute clarity and a sober mind. She refuses to let Jessica play the role of the helpless victim of circumstance, challenging her to take full ownership of her choices and the inevitable consequences that will follow. Samantha's primary objective is to ensure that Jessica does not allow her swirling emotions or her intense focus on her own future to inadvertently inflict deep, lasting pain on Tyrell. It is incredibly easy for young people consumed by the magnitude of their own life transitions to become myopic, entirely losing sight of how their actions impact their partners. Samantha is actively working to dismantle this tunnel vision. She is guiding Jessica through a difficult process of introspection, helping her to clearly identify and accept her share of responsibility in the current relational dynamic. Samantha wants Jessica to understand that ambition and personal growth are commendable, but they must be pursued with a profound sense of empathy and consideration for the hearts of those they love. Through their deeply poignant conversations, Samantha imparts a crucial, mature philosophy of love to Jessica. She meticulously breaks down the juvenile binary mindset that dictates a relationship must either end in eternal union or a catastrophic, bitter breakup. Samantha helps Jessica grasp the nuanced reality that true love is fundamentally rooted in mutual respect. It is about honoring the other person's distinct choices, celebrating their individual future, and possessing the emotional maturity to support their trajectory, even if that trajectory leads them away from you. This is a monumental lesson for Jessica, shifting her perspective from a desperate need to cling to the past to a graceful acceptance of whatever the future may hold for both of them as independent entities. Meanwhile, on the other side of this emotional divide, Tyrell is navigating his own agonizing journey through the dark valley of heartbreak. The realization that his relationship with Jessica is fundamentally altering and potentially ending has plunged him into a state of deep emotional despair. Like many young men facing profound emotional pain, Tyrell's initial instinct has been to internalize his suffering. He has constructed a stoic facade, bottling up his grief, his fears, and his profound sense of loss behind a wall of silence. This tendency to isolate himself and swallow his pain is a dangerous coping mechanism, one that threatens to drag him further into a debilitating state of depression and emotional paralysis. Fortunately, Tyrell is not left to weather this storm alone. Martin and Smitty have astutely recognized the subtle and sometimes not so subtle signs of Tyrell's downward spiral. They possess a deep, intuitive understanding of the young man and can clearly see the agonizing toll this romantic crisis is taking on his mental and emotional well-being. They see beyond the brave face he attempts to present to the world, recognizing the profound sadness that lingers in his eyes and the uncharacteristic withdrawal from his usual passions and routines. Their intervention is not driven by pity, but by a fierce, protective love and a determination to pull him back from the brink of total despair. What makes Martin and Smitty's approach so remarkably effective and deeply touching is their refusal to rely on toxic, dismissive cliches. They completely reject the harmful societal expectation that a young man should simply man up, suppress his feelings, and quickly get over a broken heart. Instead, they create a safe, non-judgmental space for Tyrell to genuinely confront his emotions. They encourage him to sit with his pain, to articulate his feelings of loss and confusion, and to process the grief rather than frantically trying to outrun it. Their goal is not to force a miraculous overnight recovery, but to help Tyrell slowly, methodically regain his emotional equilibrium. They are teaching him that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but a necessary step on the path to true healing and emotional resilience. The culmination of this intense period of soul-searching, guided mentorship, and emotional processing finally manifests in a highly anticipated, deeply cathartic reunion between Jessica and Tyrell. After a prolonged period of painful distance and agonizing silence, the two young adults finally come face to face. Given the heavy emotional baggage they have both been carrying, one might expect this encounter to be fraught with tension, recriminations, and bitter tears. However, the reality of their meeting is a beautiful testament to the incredible emotional work they have both undertaken during their time apart. Their conversation is characterized by an unexpected yet profoundly welcome lightness and joy. The heavy, oppressive atmosphere of uncertainty that had previously choked their interactions has dissipated, replaced by an atmosphere of genuine warmth and sincere affection. They are finally able to speak to one another, not as frightened teenagers desperately clinging to a fading past, but as emerging adults who have gained a newfound perspective on their lives and their connection. The dialogue flows with a refreshing honesty, devoid of the defensive posturing that often plagues young love in crisis. They openly share their hopes, their fears, and their respective journeys over the past few weeks, finding comfort in the realization that their fundamental bond remains intact, even if the nature of their relationship is evolving. This pivotal interaction serves as a powerful demonstration of their incredible maturation. The crisis that threatened to destroy them has, instead, acted as a catalyst for profound personal growth. They have successfully transitioned from a state of anxious codependency to a place of mature, interdependent respect. They are no longer looking to the other person to define their future or validate their existence. Instead, they are looking at each other with a shared, optimistic vision of the road ahead. They have come to understand that their individual successes and distinct life paths do not diminish the love they shared. Rather, they are both stepping into the future as stronger, more self-aware individuals precisely because of the time they spent together. The culmination of their heartfelt conversation is punctuated by a deeply poignant and forward-looking statement from Jessica. As they prepare to part ways, the heavy finality of a permanent goodbye is entirely absent. Instead, Jessica expresses a sincere, enthusiastic desire to meet with Tyrell again in the very near future. However, she adds a specific, incredibly telling caveat to this invitation. She voices her hope to see him next, not as the high school boy she first fell in love with, but fully embodying the shape and presence of a mature man. This final sentiment from Jessica is a masterclass in character development. It is not a critique of who Tyrell was, but a profound validation of who he is becoming. It signifies her complete acceptance that the high school chapter of their lives is definitively closed, and it expresses a genuine excitement to witness and engage with the adult version of the person she cares for so deeply. It is a beautiful, hopeful conclusion to a tumultuous chapter, proving that while their paths may diverge geographically or academically, the mutual respect and enduring affection they share will continue to evolve, allowing them to remain significant, positive forces in each other's lives as they step confidently into adulthood.